Hey everybody, this is Craig from 9 Volt Games. I know my video next was supposed to be something different, but Twitter inspired me to write something else. So I got rid of my Twitter account last year. I didn't just deactivate it, I deleted it. And then I reopened it in December so that I could follow Sheep Ass Gamer and Ed Boon for Mortal Kombat updates. I deleted my Twitter originally because this is how old I am, because I'm going to say 140 even though it's not 140 anymore. You can put your thoughts out in 140 characters and then you can have a back and forth with somebody. Everybody uses it as a soapbox, so it's pretty much everybody standing on a soapbox yelling back and forth at each other with actual no connection or resolution being made. So I got rid of it for that because it's just yelling into the void over and over again. So yesterday they went live on the PlayStation Network with double discounts for Plus members. So I kept going onto the PlayStation Store and the double discounts weren't loading. So I go on the Twitter usually when I have a problem with that because sometimes the checking the status of the network doesn't always apply. So I want to see if I was the only person who was having that. And the best way to do that is to go onto Twitter because then people can rant about it very quickly and upload it. So I put in PlayStation Store, nothing. And I did that for a while. And then I just eventually put in PlayStation. And apparently there was this thread about this people complaining about journalists getting things for free. And there's this one guy on there who was bitching about it hard. His name's Eric Kane, and he works for Forbes. All right, he does video game reviews, movies, TVs, whatever. And he wrote that about why it's important. This got me. This pisses me off. Why it's important that reviewers get review copies of games, because I guess Sony and I know a lot of companies don't want to do it anymore. Bethesda doesn't want to do it. They don't want to give out codes ahead of launch, or they don't want to give out review copies ahead of launch. And I understand why now, because if you take someone like Kotaku, who was bitching about the demo for Final Fantasy VII because it was too hard, surprisingly somehow Kotaku still has a lot of sway with a certain group of people. And if everybody based it off of this guy's initial reaction of how horrible he is at playing a game, they wouldn't have bought it. They wouldn't have bought the final product because their master told them not to, or their master told them it's too hard. So I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not as angry. I see the world for what it is, and some people are just stupid. You know what I mean? So, not like comparative to me, like I'm the smartest man in the world. Some people are really dumb. You guys are not those people, because I weed those people out of here. And they don't stick around. But so I had to write something. I couldn't hold it in. It was bubbling up. So I tried to do it middle of the road and respectfully. And my thing was, you will never have the appreciation and perspective, or I actually said you have zero perspective on what it's like to spend $60 on a game and not have it be good. If you're a reviewer and you're getting a review copy, all these other people were attacking them saying, well, you get all this free shit from this company, you get all free shit from this company, and if you don't get free something, you'll give a lower score. If you get free stuff, you're bound to give a higher score. I believe that, but I left that out of the conversation. I'm just talking about a review copy in general. I get a lot of review copies. My spam folder is full of them. I've actually been giving, I told my cousin I'd be giving them to him. I think I sent one already over to him. I'm not going to review something that I don't pay for, because this was my point. I said you have zero perspective on an actual review point of a game when you're not spending your own money on it. And then I got attacked immediately. There was a guy who was like, one guy said something like, so a guy who makes double than you has less of a perspective because it didn't hurt him as much. And then he actually put numbers. He goes, so a guy making 30K is going to have more of a perspective than a guy making 60K. That doesn't make sense. Mind you, I didn't actually talk about how much money you make. I just talked about you spending your own money. So I'm glad he put those two numbers out there, because I was like, well, I'm a guy who went from making 30K to making 60K. It hasn't changed my perspective of me handing over my money I earned to pay for something. If you pay for something, you have more appreciation of if it's good or if it's bad. Was it worth what you spent? What it's worth if you didn't spend? Like, It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's yours. You're giving a piece of you to get something back. Did it resonate with you? Was it worth that piece that you gave? Okay? So yes, I'm not stupid. If you make $1 million a year, as opposed to somebody who makes $20,000 a year, the weight is more. Do I really want this? Do I really want this? Problem with reviewers get everything for free. They get everything for free, and they get swag, and they get all that stuff if I wanted to be an asshole and throw that in there. But you're not paying for anything. Paying bare minimum and not having it affect you still gives you more of a perspective than a video game journalist, because you're still using part of you to receive something. And this point, I have to stop arguing it. I put up one thing because one guy attacked me and was like, only broke people should review games. That's great logic. And I just responded with, who said that? I didn't say that. I didn't say anything about being broke. I didn't say anything about being rich. I didn't say anything about being poor. The bottom line is, if you are a video game reviewer, you're not only getting a game for free, you're getting paid to review the game. And I also said, I did reiterate, I said it's not a personal attack on you, yourself. I said I realized I used the word you. I meant it in like the royal you, as in like you as in a video game journalist. But I also said I didn't attack the fact that you get paid to do it. You're still doing work. Like, I understand that that journalism, regardless of your views on news, publications, or any of that, put all that shit aside. You're still sitting down in front of a computer, you're writing, you're doing a first draft, you're editing, and then you're doing a second, third, who knows, final draft. You're putting in work. You deserve to get paid for it. I wasn't saying anything about that. I took journalism in school. I took technical writing in school. I understand how hard it is to get something right, especially if you're a perfectionist. So, not saying you shouldn't get paid for that. My only point was, if you get a game for free, and this is hard for people to understand, if you get something for free, regardless of how much money you make, you will not have the appreciation of somebody who worked and spent their money on it. My resolution is this. If you write a piece for a publication, you get a commission. That's generally how it works, all right? If you want to review a game, they should give you review copies ahead of launch, so that way your reviews will count, good or bad, if people value your opinion. I'm okay with that part. You should take your money and have to give it to the company to get a review copy, then write your piece, then submit it, and then get your commission. You should still have to buy the game like everybody else. It will give you a much clearer perspective. That's all I was fucking saying. This dude, Eric Kane, is such a whiny bitch. I went on his Twitter and all he was doing was crying. And the best part is in the comments, underneath it, every other single person was like, dude, stop throwing a tantrum. You're tantruming. And it wasn't like people being rude either. Like, some of the lines were just like, it's not your day. Please stop embarrassing yourself. Keep tantruming. Like, things that I'm saying. And they weren't like rude personal attacks. They weren't name calling him. They weren't bullying him. They weren't doing, even though he's going to act like it. He acted like a victim on there. Just stop. Just accept, even if you don't agree with it, just accept it and move on. Right? You could probably say the same thing to me about it, but this has always been my problem with this industry. And this is why I gave up on 9-volt games. This is not gave up, but I gave up on the business aspect. And that's why I always, since the beginning, I've always said I'm not going to review something I got for free. Even when Telltale was the nicest company to me. And they sent me things for free, and I still would I would buy them. I would buy physical copies of everything they gave me because I cannot review it. And case in point is, I beat Walking Dead when it was brand new. And I didn't review it until the physical copy came out. I took my ass to Best Buy and I bought a physical copy of the game. I came home and then I reviewed it 3 hours after I bought it. Because did I feel the same? Especially now that I've already beaten the game and I went out and I spent $30 to get it because that's how much the physical copy was. I actually bought 2 because I gave one to Dan because I love the game so much. And it was worth it because I ended up spending $60 on something that cost everybody else $30, and I still said it was like the fucking game of the year. I don't know. That stuff really winds me up, man. If you get something for free, you definitely, for one, shouldn't complain. And don't pretend that you're a victim. You get paid to write about video games. You have the dream job. And you have the dream job. Not just in our industry, in a lot of industries. You get to review a product and you get paid. You get paid handsomely. You work for fucking Forbes. You get paid handsomely. enjoy what you have, but also take the time to admit and humble yourself and be like, yes, I get this for free. And then he claims that he doesn't get any of the free perks. Well, then put that in there. I guess I don't pay for the game, but I also don't take any perks. That at least gives you a little more credit of me saying, okay, you're not taking free gifts from companies, means that you won't be swayed. So yes, while you may be getting the game for free, you're also not out here being bought off, because that's happened. And a lot of the people who were commenting in his defense under it, I noticed, were in their young 20s, and they don't remember things like the Kane and Lynch incident. You know what I mean? From GameSpot, where a great review was bought. They don't remember things like when IGN originally gave Silent Hill 2 a shitty score because they didn't understand it, and then had to go back and change. They went back and they changed the number of the review. So I don't know. That shit makes me mad. And I went off on a rant, but that's the number one reason I stopped 9 Volt Games as a business, is because the year that we went as media to PAX, we got bullied by other publications who dumped money into these companies for promotions, and we didn't do that. And the number one example was I'm gonna butcher their name because I do it every time. Ubisoft. I'm not saying Ubisoft. Ubisoft. When Far Cry 3 was coming out, and I had a slot for us to play Far Cry 3, to demo it for the multiplayer, and they let Machinima cut in the middle of our group and cut our group experience in half. And they didn't wait in line like we did. They just fucking showed up. And the other problem I had was when we went to Take-Two, and I think I was in line to see Spec Ops The Line. I was in line that I had a slot to check out Spec Ops The Line, and they pushed me for another bigger publication, which I get, more exposure, blah, 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 but they made a commitment to me and my 9 Volt Games company, and I had people there. I had people working cameras. I paid for everybody's hotel room. Like, I put money into this the year that we went. I made sure that my guys, for the most part, didn't have to spend a dime on anything. And so just because I'm not giving them money directly doesn't mean I'm not putting money and effort into what I was doing. So when I went to Take-Two and I was like, listen, I have a slot for whatever time it was, and they said, oh man, we're so booked up and blah blah blah. Like, I know what a pecking order is. All right, so I took it humbly. I wasn't 2 steps away. My back was turned. I believe Chris and I don't know if it was Chris and my friend Dean who were with me at the time. We turned around. We weren't 2 steps away, and I think someone from GameSpot walked up and was like, can we check out the game? And they're like, oh yeah, man, we got nothing going on. I turned around and I delivered the biggest fuck you to whoever the fat fucking guy was who was at the line who told us that they were overbooked. That shit happens. That shit's real. I've experienced it firsthand. The only one, and I think this one got us in trouble, was when we went to Sega's booth and I lied to them and said we had a slot. And we saw Aliens Colonial Marines. We watched the video of it. Randy Pitchford did his little song and dance on stage, and they brought us around the back and they were like, do you want to demo the game? And we were all like, no, we're good. This game doesn't look great. And we got scowled. I had people look at me like I was a fucking piece of garbage. And guess what? What happened to Aliens Colonial Marines when it launched? It wasn't good. But that type of stuff is the reason that I think I have more perspective than the average fucking 21-year-old on Twitter who sits at home and plays games and worships, Kotaku, or worships the people at Forge and other games journalists. You don't have certain perspectives into the industry and how shitty it is. Just because it seems like it's a progressive industry, it's still an industry. It's a corporation. It's a money-making machine. All right? They own game journalists so long as they're giving something away for free. It's not going to make sure that they get all top 10s, but it's going to make sure that some of these games get above a 7, for sure. And they were arguing about Last of Us. You know how much pressure's on you if you're a game reviewer for something like Last of Us? You better give that game a good score. You better. Even if it's bad, you had better. That's from Naughty Dog. That's owned by Sony. You had better give that game a good score. Right? I've already had the game ruined for me. And it was something I expected, so it didn't take away very much. But if the game's not good, I'm going to tell you it's not good. I was hesitant to play the first Last of Us. You guys had to push me to play it. And then I ended up liking it. Same thing with BioShock Infinite. But there have been games that have come out that I've been hyped for that I can't stand. At the very least, if anything, I'll look for a good aspect of a game, and then I'll tell you that that part's good. But just like yesterday when I did my video for Twisted Metal, when I did my review for Twisted Metal, I could only talk about, I think, 2 out of the 20,000 times I tried to play online. It wasn't good, and I have no problem telling you that that part wasn't good. And I don't have the fear or the weight of a company over me when I say something that's a first-party title is bad. I don't know. I think game reviewers are just a bunch of whiny fucking bitches. These journalists that get paid to do something that a lot of us do for free, or a lot of us used to dream. I used to dream of writing in a publication. When I was a kid, that was my dream. I used to write to EGM all the time. And then when I became an adult and I was like, I'm going to do this on my own, I saw the side of it that I was like, I don't want no part of this. So you know what kind of cog you are in that big shitty machine. Just own it and stop. You're not a victim. Stop it. People on the internet are mean. That's the way it goes. I've been called a fag at least once a week for 10 years. I've had people threaten to kill me. I had a person threaten to come to my address. I had a crazy guy that we all know named David Hinkle. He found my home address. That's the way the internet works, man. Especially nowadays. You say one wrong thing and you're fucked. Like, you'll get canceled. Your life's over. Deal with it. Don't cry on the internet about your free stuff, okay? Thank you guys for watching.